what goes around is already here.
Well, it's actually titled Chapter 11.
Okay. After like September 11th?
Mm-hmm. The whole show is revolving around that whole thing. This is my interpretation of like the city being sort of like in a state of like peacefulness and quiet, shock at the same time.
Right.
That's why it's underwater. It's supposed to be underwater. Lily pads and stuff.
Oh my God.
Wow, there's lily pads.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's great.
But we all like, you know, the other artists, we all sat down and kind of like spearheaded the whole boomerang theory based on the stealth bomber, which almost looks like a boomerang.
Oh, yeah.
It's juicy, it's thick, it's nasty.
This is like for what?
Supermarket shit. This painting is titled Géminis, or Géminis in Spanish. Hierro, fuego, y piedra. What I saw personally was when the first plane hit and the second plane hit, what took my attention was the smoke, how it went over Brooklyn and over to Coney Island and possibly the world, right? The beginning is like the World Trade Center at the very, very bottom. And this huge curvature above the top would represent the smoke from that day.
This piece is about the Twin Towers. Like if you like cut into the Twin Towers, like right here, like a section of it, right? So this symbolizes both. I feel like, you know, the two towers are like, you know, like in the dollar sign, you know what I mean? It's like the symbol of the money, of America's greed and power, and, you know, just, I don't know, the two balls of like, you know, big balls of America. And I was inspired by like, you know, Arabic, like calligraphy, as well as my own personal shapes. So, you know, just to make this like a piece, you know, like a grand piece.
Whether it was like what people called graffiti or what people would call street art, it's all in between those things. You can't really put a label on it so quickly because it's a culture that is constantly changing here and internationally also.
I talked to Days once when we were coming back from doing a gig in Lyon in the middle of France. As we were pulling into Paris and watching all the pieces along the train track, I said, you know, like, did you think that it would ever get this far, you know? And he told me, yeah, shit, you know, back in the days when they heard of like graffiti pieces in Queens, it was, wow, amazing.
Notre terrain de jeu maintenant, c'est pas seulement Paris, c'est l'Europe, le monde ensuite. Et c'est assez formidable, il y a tellement de nouveaux endroits à découvrir, tellement de pays à conquérir. C'est comme un jeu de Monopoly, il faut que tout nous appartienne, il n'y a pas de limite.
É legal que, por exemplo, hoje a pichação, o grafite brasileiro, ele está influenciando as novas gerações de grafite na Europa. Tem muita gente se inspirando e aprendendo com o grafite daqui. O estilo de letra, pegando como base para poder criar outras letras.
書くエネルギーとか書きたいこのやる気汁とかやっぱそのバイブレーションでねこうつながっていけるっていうのはすごい重要なことやしなんかこう言葉ははるかに超えてるなと思う。
I try not to confine myself just to, let's say, a street culture. I see myself as just a little piece in a giant puzzle, you know. I think that's one of the hurdles of being able to affect people is not just affect a certain circle, but affect a lot of different people. And when you're able to communicate like that, then I think, you know, you've succeeded in being an artist.
the public is much more visually aware than it has ever been. We're bombarding them with so much information, and then we're saying that, oh, but this is art, you wouldn't know anything about this, you know. And the whole thing about graffiti is that it's really part of this, like wait, we've got something to say as well.
The most important thing about street work, sort of regardless of what particularly people are making, it's the fact that it's an unsanctioned expression, and that for that reason it's free to be anything.
We live in a day and age when the only theatre left for change is culture. Everything else is totally dominated either by economics or by technology. Culture is lived and not consumed.
Right or wrong, I'm claiming a lot of walls in the city as like a visual public commons. Like, you know, I'm claiming it for myself, but I think that anytime you set out any mark on a space, you're kind of like declaring open season, and you're saying, okay, this is a space that's open for action and for activity and for dialogue. If you want to advertise, if you want to talk to me, that's cool, but I'm going to talk back. If you just take the right is yours.